As someone who really struggles finishing book series, and I'm currently in the middle of 27 of them, this is my effort to finish book series that I'm currently in the middle of. All of these vlogs are non-spoilery. I have a playlist of them on my channel. Let's continue book series that we're currently in the middle of in an effort to actually finish them and not feel guilty about starting new ones constantly. This one you might think I'm a little bit crazy. In August, we're tackling some of the absolute longest books that are on my TBR. These are like the most intimidating books as well. So it's like the majority of the longest books on my TBR in addition to probably the most emotionally devastating. These are the books that we're tackling. There's actually one more, but I have it on audio, but it is another like 700-page book. So just pretend there's another 700-page book on the stack. We're starting off August with Tale of the Heart Queen. This is the final book in the Artifacts of Eranos series. This is a very fun, super fast-paced romance. Is a little bit of a subplot in this series. However, it is present and there is some spice. So I would definitely refer to it as more new adult, but at first I did think it was a YA series. So Tale of the Heart Queen is on this list. This is the book that I started today. So we will be kind of focusing on this one and Tower of Dawn. I'm kind of going to be flipping back and forth between the two of these at the start of this vlog. Tower of Dawn is on our August TBR. We are doing a Throne of Glass read-along on my Patreon. We are towards the end because our August book is Tower of Dawn. However, I do have Kingdom of Ash in this vlog as well because the way that Empire of Storms ended, I cannot deal with it. I did not do the tandem read, so I have already completed Empire of Storms, and oh my stinking goodness. I don't know how I'm continuing on, and I haven't picked up the next book yet, but I have an inkling that once I finish this, I will not be able to hold myself back from Kingdom of Ash, even though this is technically our September book in our read-along. So I'm expecting to start this in August. I might not finish it until September. So I'm just putting that out there. So those are the three like chunkiest books in this vlog. Please don't comment on my messy bed. And also this nugget wanted to come in and say hello apparently. I am just doing my makeup a little bit because I have a presentation today that I totally forgot about. Well, I didn't think it was that serious, and then they were like, yeah, you have to do like a 10-minute presentation. And I'm like, perfect. I'm just trying to look a little bit more presentable. So I was like, we're gonna listen to our audiobook, Tale of the Heart Queen, and we're going to prep for the week, which is actually so nice. I just like, an hour isn't enough time to cook, and for whatever reason in my head I was like, no, this will be fine. No. We are now 20% of the way into Tale of the Heart Queen. I'm really just trying to decide like what to say about it because it's obviously a finale book, and this will be no spoilers like these vlogs always are whenever I continue series. I'll just give like vague overall updates. I think that the writing in this book really stands out compared to the last two books in the Artifacts of Eranos series. Reading so much better. Like the Artifacts of Eranos series, I loved the first book. Like the first one gripped me. We had high stakes trials. We also had, I don't want to say like hidden magic, but there is like a journey to learn about the magic of this world. And we sort of have like a chosen one trope with our main character. I really faded with the series in books 2 and 3, I'm not gonna lie. They more focused on like the romance, which is fine, and a lot of the side characters, and there is like a good cast of characters. It just like didn't hit as hard for me because the plot I felt wasn't like super there to support it. It's like we've been building for this last book for like too long. Like the things that are happening in this final book I'm really happy about, but I wish that we had gotten like a little bit more plot, I think, from books 2, and 3, but there were like a ton of setup to get us to this point, because this is a story that we start off like in present day, everything is in present day, it's a multi-POV series, but then throughout the books, you start to get more connections to the past. But because we were jumping around so much, and because the past was so important and we didn't get a lot of it we didn't get any of it really in book 1, books 2 and 3 were like, okay, we have to fully flush out the past and why all this stuff is important. Look at our little guest star over there. He's so freaking cutie. I think I would have enjoyed this series as a whole more if it were like a trilogy. Hello besties, good morning. We have some good reading updates on Tower of Dawn, and we also have an update on Tale of the Heart Queen. That's where I'm going to start. We are 53% of the way into that audiobook, which is so crazy. I feel like this is a book that I really built up in my head for so long because it's the longest book in the series by far, and I don't know why it was like one of those really intimidating books, but Nisha J. Tooley has such an approachable writing style that even though it's fantasy romance, it doesn't read like super crazy world building or anything. It's just a book series and like a writing style that you can fall into the writing and fly through. You almost like don't know what you're gonna get. Is it gonna be crazy world building and I have to really dial in, lock in, use like full brain power, like one of those kinds of reads? Or is it gonna be like, not like a silly goofy time, because like there's definitely serious moments in this book and stuff like that, but it's just like less of a brain power book and less of a brain power series. For so long, like through all of the other books, we've been kind of building up what's happening in the present, also what's been happening in the past. This is a book series where it flips between two, I'm trying to think if it's just two timelines, but we constantly go back in the past to learn about these other characters that start to become more and more relevant. And so the timelines are kind of like building and building. We're coming to a peak with what happened in the past to what happened in the present. It seems like we're building up towards this big battle in this book that we've really been looking forward to, but I'm kind of surprised because it feels like we've almost been introduced to like a new big bad. And it's not that we didn't know about this character before, but we're learning more and more about this character, and we've had a very clear big bad from literally book 1, and now we have like multiple, which is interesting to do that in like a final book in a series, especially because it's such like a plot driven series for me. I don't feel like overly connected to the characters in the Artifacts of Arano series, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that like it's so, the plot is the intrigue for me. The romance is very like on the side, like it's not great romance in my opinion. They are spicy, like this book has definitely had some spicy scenes when people start getting together, and it's big high stress time, so everyone's like, we need to take advantage of the downtime that we have, like let's kiss and stuff. But I haven't been in a spice mood, so I've just really been skipping a lot of that stuff, and it's not like impacting my read of the story. So that is Tale of the Heart Queen. And then dun, 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 we started her finally. I definitely meant to start her before Tuesday, and now I'm trying to finish this book before the end of the week, so we're probably unfortunately not gonna get to Kingdom of Ash. But I think that Kingdom of Ash might need like its own vlog. Like I don't know, It's so crazy. So I'm going to have this vlog be spoiler free, like we've talked about. On my Patreon, I am gonna have like a director's cut of this vlog because I will go into more like spoiler thoughts on Tower of Dawn. Spoiler free thoughts. We made it to page 92, chapter 8. I'm also using this bookmark, and I thought it was so appropriate because of the stag. This is a Realmathon bookmark from, I want to say, this past Realmathon, which is a readathon hosted by Covers with Cassidy, and she makes beautiful bookmarks. And anyways, this one's perfect for, it's gonna be perfect for Kingdom of Ash, honestly. This little, basically Terrasen stag, like the colors, it's incredible. So we're on chapter 8. I definitely had a moment where we started this book. We're in a completely different area of the world. We're on the southern continent in this one, which we've never ever been to before. I had a moment where I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to be with our other characters. Because this one, like, the whole main group of characters is separated from Empire of Storms. One person, something happened to them and they have to kind of go off and be separated from the group and go like do their own thing. And so I understand why people do the tandem read. It's just that I thought that would be way too overwhelming for me personally, because I listen to these, I immersive read them, but I like mainly listen to them on audio. And once I feel like I'm in a good place with the story, I will listen to only the audiobook like a little bit more. And I didn't want to have to worry about like, oh, did I listen too far, like switching back and forth. I just thought it would be a lot. I don't want to be that person that's like, oh my god, I hated it, it's so boring. Like, I want to be with all those other characters. There was a reason that SJM didn't make Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms one big book, because she is not afraid of giving us a chunky book. There was a reason she separated it out, and I feel like she's gonna drop like details in this that are gonna come back around and be important. And there's a reason why we're like meeting these characters and why we're here in this part of the world. So like, that's what I'm trying to keep in mind. And after I kind of reminded myself of like, no, you want to have a good experience reading this book, so stop thinking about the ending of Empire of Storms, like, because this takes place at like it starts at the beginning of Empire of Storms. Like, those two books are happening in parallel timelines. We're just in a different place. I think that if I had read this series when it was releasing and I like read Empire of Storms, read that, and then waited for this book to come out and then had it be like what it is, like people in a different place of the world, we're being introduced to new characters, I probably would have literally had a conniption. I am excited for the character growth in this book. I can really tell that the main character that we're following, he is in a very specific mentality, and I feel, and he has been for kind of a while through these books. He's in a specific mentality. This big thing happened at the end of Queen of Shadows, which is kind of where this book is like picking up if we go back in the timeline here. And so, and like he had this really crazy, big, life-changing, impactful thing happen to him. So we're kind of dealing with all of that. I'm trying to keep this non-spoilery. I'm excited for the new people that we're meeting in this as well. I definitely had moments, like the first 50 pages of the section that I read, I was like, this is kind of overwhelming. It feels like I'm not returning to a series that I've been reading and I'm like 5-6 books in. It feels like so new and kind of jarring. However, now I feel like I'm interested. My strategy with this book is going to be to read it in big chunks. I want to be reading like at least 150 pages a day, which is good because I need to be doing that in order to finish this book on time for when this vlog has to come out. So that will work perfectly, but I feel like reading big chunks will keep me very invested because like a lot's gonna happen in the sections that I'm reading. And there's a perspective in here. These books are told in third person, so it's hard to say like a new POV, but it is kind of a new POV. We have this character Irene, and she is a healer, and I'm very interested in her. She's only been in the southern continent for 2 years, but she has very strong thoughts about the northern continent, about the war that's happening, about Otterlin, and I think that her emotions on all of those things are justified, but it's very clear that she is also kind of gonna go through, I want to say like a mental change, but that feels like a weird way to phrase it. She's gonna have her beliefs changed. It feels like when she comes out the other side of this book and we get to the end of it, it feels like a lot of important questions are really being asked of her and like how she's feeling and why she's feeling the way that she is. And then her being like forced to interact with and having basically like forced proximity with someone that she really doesn't want to help, be around, talk to, like all of those things I think will be interesting. And I'm excited for the banter, even though like Kale isn't my favorite bantery person. I feel like it could be good. And there's a reason why, like I just keep reminding myself, there's a reason why we're being introduced to these characters and like it's happening the way that it is, you know what I mean? I just can't wait to get to Kingdom of Ash. And that's kind of, at this moment in time, because I'm only 92 pages in, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna read this as fast as I can because I cannot wait to get to Kingdom of Ash. I'm waiting to hear more about Nesrin. Like, she's been such a side character that I'm like, okay, she's clearly one of the main people in this, but like, why?
I wasn't prepared for this onslaught of emotion. Nadir wraps an arm around my neck and drags me close. For those whose lives he's affected in ultra.
We are 87% into Tale of the Heart Queen. Why do I feel like my last update for this book was when we were at 53%? Like, it feels like it's been a little while since I've updated on Tale of the Heart Queen, but also it feels like no time at all has passed. I must have missed one day of updates. I feel like in this last half of the book, I don't know what to say for updates because like I definitely don't want to spoil anything. There have been some very sweet moments between our characters, which I think is really nice because this is a finale book. I feel like everybody coming together, everybody getting sort of like closure from like all of the crazy things that have happened so far, although we're still not out of the thick of it yet. Like, it's definitely still very, very action-packed in this second half of the book, but there have been really sweet moments because these books, like reflecting back on the whole series, these characters go through so much. There's been quite a few nods to the first book, which the first book feels so different from the rest of the series because it's like a silly, goofy, bachelorette style deadly competition to marry to the Sun King. And since then, so much more has happened and like we're not even at that point yet, so it just feels like a very different book. So getting some of these like references to the first book and kind of reminding us where our characters began and where that started was really nice because I was like, oh my god, yeah, like they started in like, they're in this jail and it's our three siblings and we don't know anything about them, and then randomly our main character Laura gets selected to be part of the Sun King trials. Like, that's so crazy where we started and now we're here. A lot of our characters like throughout this whole series have been like separated and then come back together and they have a short reunion and then they have to go off and do something else. So it's like there's just been so much that's happened that these moments where everybody does get together and they get to have like a sweet, intentional, reflective, healing moment almost. But then, like I said, at the same time, there's still so much action like left. Also, Lore and Nadir, they're just constantly having to save each other. It's so crazy. Like, they are just constantly in so much peril. Who would have thought? I think that the big bads in this final book are so fun. Like, fun because they're so evil and their powers are very cool. There's like a little bit of elemental magic because like some people have like storm wielding abilities, but then it's not only elemental because there's some magic wielders who can wield light. And so the magic in this world is really cool. The big bads have very cool magic, but I guess I sort of wish that we got more of the big bads besides just the scheming in books 2 and 3. Like books 2 and 3 in the series really felt like a lot of, I hesitate to say politics, but I guess it sort of was political, like political scheming and people trying to fight over each other for power, and power in this world corresponds so closely with like magic. There's a very big class division in this series as well that has been woven throughout all the books. It's not like a focus though, and I wish that it would have been more of a focus. Not to say like it's brought up and then you never hear about it again. It's definitely woven throughout each of the books, and there have been moments where it's brought up, but I guess 87% of the way through the book, like almost at the very end here, it feels like there was so much going on in this plot. I would have liked to get into the nuances a little bit more. I would have liked for our main characters to really address the issues at hand, like that lower class of people, those lesser fae, give them like more justice than what we've seen, because it's been like a theme throughout, but I feel like we haven't really hit on it too much. And maybe they will, like right towards the end of this book. Maybe it's like an overall revamp, rehaul of leadership in the society. It seems like that is what we're building to. But I guess what I'm trying to say at the end of all of this is the plot feels a little bit messy. It's very engaging and like action-packed because there's so many things going on. Our characters are spread very thin. So we're gonna finish this out right now. This morning I was running around doing some errands. I had to print out some stuff at Staples. I ran out of printer ink and I had to mail a Pango order, so I was like, I have to go to Staples anyways to print that, and then we went to the post office and mailed it. But I also decided that I am going to be doing, I was gonna do this anyways, but I just wasn't planning on doing it today, but then it worked out. I printed off a bunch of Expedition 33 pictures. This is the game we're currently playing on Twitch, and on my VOD channel I've uploaded all of the VODs on YouTube, which is linked down below if you'd like to watch. It's like my favorite game of all time pretty much, and I'm like not even, we're like maybe halfway through it and I'm so freaking obsessed with it. Like the storyline is so good, but it's so heartbreakingly sad, and I was like, I need to do a journal spread about Expedition 33. So that's what we're gonna do while I'm finishing out this audiobook. Yellow, reporting in live from just finishing Tale of the Heart Queen. I was just going to my Goodreads to update that it's finished. It's crazy because this book did not feel like it was 672 pages. Like this audiobook was 18 hours. I felt like I was listening to it for maybe an hour a day. That's how easy the writing style was, and like it didn't feel like a big burdensome like fantasy that we were reading, but that's so crazy. First book of August down, and it's a chunky one, and the second one we're working on is like almost the same page length. Like Tower of Dawn I think is like 650. I'm thinking that this one was a 3-star. I'm trying to decide, I guess, between like a 3 or a 3.5. I definitely liked this book a lot more than I liked books 2 and 3, and I gave those both 3 stars. So yeah, maybe 3.5 because it was like better, but it definitely wasn't a full 4-star for me. I feel like I wanted less silly goofy trial time, and I wanted it to feel a little bit more serious. Like they were saving the world from these big bads, and it was like, it felt very like Hunger Games-esque, and Hunger Games wasn't about saving the world, you know what I mean? So when I think about it, it's just so crazy. But I really liked the character development, like especially right at the very end. We had some like big breakthroughs for certain chaotic evil characters slash like neutral evil characters. I feel like the series would have been better if it was just a YA series. I feel like the The romance in book 2 was probably my favorite, and then I feel like after book 2, the romance in book 1 was not it. The romance in book 2 was really good, and then books 3 and 4, it like wasn't about the romance for me, it was more about the plot. The spice wasn't bad, I just haven't been in like a spice mood, which I think I mentioned, so like skipping over those parts, I was just like, I feel like it didn't really add anything to the story though, if I'm honest. Like, if you're someone who can appreciate spice, if it's doing something to like build a relationship, whatever, books 3 and 4, it wasn't doing that. It was just like spice, sort of for the sake of spice, to like celebrate big moments or like, I don't know, to forget about the stress before they were going into something that was gonna be crazy. I could have done without it. I'm very excited though because I learned that Miss Tooley is releasing a new book. I don't know when it's scheduled to be released. I'll have to look it up, but it's called Stormbreaker, and this one is going to be an upper YA book. So that's intriguing. Stormbreaker is pitched as Divergent meets Legendborn with the storm-drenched aesthetic of the 100 and the bite of Gossip Girl. That sounds like a lot of things going on, but the upper YA age category is appealing to me. The spice and the romance like isn't my favorite of Nisha. I think if she focused more on plot, that's a big win for me. And now I'm really excited because I'm not gonna lie, once I started reading Tower of Dawn, whenever I would have to switch back to Tale of the Heart Queen, I was kind of like, I don't feel like reading this right now. I just want to really dig into Tower of Dawn. Like that's where my heart, that's where my reading heart is. That's where the mood reader in me wants to stay. So I'm very excited that we will be able to fully get in to Tower of Dawn. I also just talk about a complete side note, and I'm sorry about it. I have been updating Goodreads and Storygraph this year because I like Storygraph better as like a platform. It's just that Goodreads, I've been using it for so long, and like so many people use Goodreads, and also I feel like to support authors, if you put a review on Goodreads, it's going to get more like eyeballs on it because it is kind of connected to like Amazon. I feel like Goodreads reviews help the author a little bit more. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong on that, amazing. I will just post my reviews like in other places, and that would be really great. I mean, I do post my reviews on like Instagram and on here and stuff like that, but you know what I mean? Especially if you're like an ARC reader, they literally ask like, put your Amazon review, put your Goodreads review. And so like, I just want to make sure that if I'm reading the book and I'm going to review it and I'm going to star rate it, I want it to like help the author as much as possible. But then I started using Fable. I mean, we have like our book club on Fable, but I never used it for like my want to read list. I never used it for like tracking my reads, rating my reads, stuff like that. But I have been seeing throughout this whole year people posting their like Fable reading graphics and like monthly wrap-ups and things like that, and they're so cute. So I've started using 3 book tracking because I've started to update Fable in that way. I don't love that every day you have to go in and be like, I read today, and like select that piece of it, but I love the way that Fable structures their review process of books, because if you want to be like super detailed and get into every little piece, it's sort of similar. Fable used, I think, a lot from Storygraph, but they definitely have a very different interface, and so I just think it's really fun. I have not been getting into like the nitty gritty of my reviews on Fable. I'm mostly doing it like just marking books as read, marking my reading streaks, because I think that that's really fun. I love the calendar that Fable gives you. If you're actually keeping up with like your reading streak, I thoroughly enjoy Fable's calendar like wrap-up spread that they do. It just looks so nice. It has like the book covers for every day that you read it on the calendar, and I just think it's so nice. I will pop up like a screenshot of what I'm talking about because I don't describe things well. But I really like it. It's just like so much when you finish a book to be like, okay, let me go update my 3 apps. And then also every day logging into Fable and being like, I read today. At first I did think that it was like satisfying. If that were my only app that I were using to track my reads, I don't think it would be a problem. Like I wouldn't have the issue that I have with it. But the fact that I'm updating 3 apps, I'm just like, I don't want to have to do this. And my reading journal. So basically, I'm psychotic. If you're psychotic like me and you update a bunch of different apps, please let me know your thoughts. But also, if you mainly use Fable to track your books, like if you started doing that this year, can you give me like some feedback on how you're liking it? Or if you're like, no, just stick with Storygraph or like whatever, I would appreciate it. If this is a book dedicated to giving Kale a romance, we were able to read quite a bit last night. We read up to chapter 32. We're officially just over the halfway point. We're on page 380. Last night I did get to some very juicy parts, but I also got to a slew of Nezrin chapters, which I know that they're important because like Nezrin is going to be the one to help politically in a certain way, and I think that that's really clear. Like her and Kale have completely different reasons for being in this place, and Nezrin's doing a really good job. It's not that I like have a problem with her, I'm just like not interested. I don't know why, I'm just not interested. I don't find Sartak especially interesting. I do think that the Nook creatures have potential, we'll say. They have potential. I can see why we're building this up. I definitely see the reasoning why we're here. I do think that it's a super duper character driven story. I could definitely see why this book would not be like everybody's favorite. I'm not minding it. Like I'm really not. Even though these characters aren't like necessarily my favorites, I'm having a good time. I'm most interested though in Kale and Irene. Those are like, when I get those chapters, I'm very interested. When I get even when I get Irene alone in a chapter, I'm interested. Maybe because she's new to me, maybe because I'm still questioning why we have a healer being introduced. I think I'm getting suspicious about characters that like I don't need to be suspicious about. I feel like something is building with Prince Caution. I don't know what though. I'm just wondering if that whole thing is kind of going to come to a head at some point, because it seems like there's tension, and as a prince I feel like he would bring it up at some point, like something's going to happen between Caution and Kale. I'm suspicious of the like leader of the healers, and I don't know if I have any grounds to be suspicious, but I don't know why. Like there's definitely a darkness that is infiltrating into the southern continent, and I don't know why. Maybe because we haven't had a ton of face-to-face time with her. We did have face-to-face time with Hafiza in the beginning, and then she's kind of like tapered off in the middle, and I feel like something unexpected is going to pop up. Something is going to happen that like ignites everybody to team up type thing, because this book is all political intrigue. It is healing. It is characters creating relationships with each other. I'm trying to remain so vague, so I feel weird. I feel like I'm speaking in tongues when I give the non-spoiler updates, but safe to say, I'm enjoying this. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. I feel like people really prepared me going into this, saying like, it's my least favorite, it's so boring, this is why people do the tandem read, like all of those things. And I completely understand that point of view, but I feel like going in with the mentality that I did of like, okay, this is gonna be super slow, I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would, which is nice. And I just know that once I get towards the end of this, it's gonna be like every other Sarah J. Maas book. How could it not be, where everything is happening in the last like 70 to 100 pages. The only other thing that's really stood out to me about this book compared to the others is that the chapters in this are so long. We get like a 50-page chapter or thereabouts, which isn't normal. Like especially in the Throne of Glass books, some of them will be longer. Maybe you'll get like a 25 to 30 page chapter, But especially in Throne of Glass, I've noticed that when she's trying to build suspense, she will have a ton of short chapters in quick succession with each other because it's usually switching a ton of different perspectives, whereas this one, they've been so long, so much longer, and that's not like normal. I think it's standing out to me more because she doesn't usually write in this fashion, but it's not to say that it's like not making sense, because these characters, especially in the scenes where we're learning a lot, it's just that we're staying in that one scene with those characters for quite a while. Sorry, I just figured I'm listening to Tower of Dawn, the audiobook, and I just wanted to unbox this with you guys because I ordered it from Pango. It's the Trad Pub hardcover of Fear the Flames because I have the indie paperback that I read a while ago. I need to reread this because they definitely edited a lot of it. It's so much shorter, which is kind of crazy than the indie edition, and I just got the second book in this series and I wanted the hardcover to match, but I wasn't expecting it to come with like a massive bag of goodies, and it was so beautifully wrapped. I mean, I've definitely had some very cute packaging from Pango before, which is so adorable, but I have never had it wrapped like a present and being all like super cutie. So that was amazing. I'm glad that we unpacked that together because I was not expecting that at all, and I'm very excited to read this. And then I also got a lamp. I have a new bookshelf that's on the way, and I saw this lamp that I ended up ordering as well because since we put the red lights in our bedroom on our nightstands and we don't use the overhead light, we don't really have another light in our room, so it just looks, at night it's just quite dim with that red light, which isn't a bad thing, that's the intended purpose, but I just wanted like another little lamp, and this lamp is so beautiful. I was expecting it to be a little bit more green when I turned it on because when it's off it looks like this, like you just saw when I took it out of the package. Also, the bottom of it is so gorgeous. Like look, this is such a freaking cute lamp, but then when you turn it on, it really loses the greenness. Like it looks like just like a normal colored lamp, but it's so cool. So that's the little unboxing that I have for you, and I'm gonna keep listening to Tower of Dawn. Okay, I've read literally 3 chapters. I'm on the 3rd chapter. Just when I was saying that Nesrin's chapters are so boring, they go on this like little excursion, and it's high stakes, well, pretty high stakes, and it has a creepy creature in it, and it's someone that can turn into other animals, and we know people like that already, so that's very intriguing. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, so I'm invested. If the second half of this book gets even more like fast paced, I would be very grateful, because I did have a moment when I was like walking to the mailroom where I was like, I still have, we're on page 400, I have like 250 pages, 60 pages left of this, and I was like, if it's this slow to the end, like, oh, I can't wait until I get to Kingdom of Ash. But it seems like it's starting to pick up a little bit, and puzzle pieces are being put together, which is good because we've actually had quite a few puzzle pieces. My impression was I thought that these puzzle pieces were going to be put together in like Kingdom of Ash. So if we get some of those reveals in this, I will be a happy camper. talk about how I let my hair air dry last night because I know that it looks crazy. I stopped in the middle of a chapter because I just wanted to give a little update. I just made it to page 500, and what's happening now, we're about to learn some stuff. There's going to be some info dropping happening, and so I just wanted to do a little bit of an update before that. The pacing of this book is interesting because I was anticipating that the last half of the book, things were starting to get, I don't want to say more engaging, but like there was more action happening besides just characters interacting with each other and a lot of like political conversations happening. There's more action happening for sure. There's certain elements of this book that I'm really like questioning to what end. Like, where is this gonna go? Why was this creature being brought up again in this book when we saw this creature in, I think it was Queen of Shadows? I forget if it was Queen of Shadows or Heir of Fire. There's more connections being made, which is what we were hoping for. I'm glad that we're going to get some bigger reveals towards the end of this book. At least that's my assumption, because like I said before, I thought that the big reveals were going to happen in Kingdom of Ash. Like, I thought that these characters would need help connecting things. I keep going back and forth about how I feel about Kael. I like him. I like his story in this. I like that we've got to see, I think, more of him and just experience more of him and understand more of him. But there just are aspects of his character that really irk me. He just gives me the ick, and I can't really put my finger on it because he's a very moral person. He's very loyal. He always tries to do the right thing. He goes through struggles. Like, he has things that make him, I guess, like supposed to make him more endearing. But to me, he's strong-willed to the point that he's like dogmatic, where he finds it difficult to see anybody else's perspective besides his own. And characters like that I don't vibe well with. I just can't understand how someone wouldn't want to be open to other people's perspectives. Your opinion is not the only correct opinion. Takes his emotions out on other people. Like, he's done it to Irene multiple times in this book where I'm like, stop being such an a-hole. I just think he's very immature. I think that's the best way to put it. I think he's immature, and I think he's dogmatic. And I think that him being immature causes him to be dogmatic. And also, like, I understand that he is going through hard things, but he acts like he's the only one going through hard things. It just doesn't excuse your behavior of lashing out and saying really mean things to Irene. And I think that it makes me appreciate Irene that much more because she is such a strong person, and I've really enjoyed getting to know her. I honestly think that her taste in men is very questionable because, like, why is she feeling the way that she's feeling about Kael? I understand that he's hot, but he has red flags in his personality, girl. I think you need to question some of that a little bit more. I like the journey that they've gone on. I think that if there wasn't a character like Irene, I wouldn't like this book and I wouldn't like Kael. I think that Irene has done a lot for Kael in helping me like him because of the way that she sees him. It makes me like him more because I don't see him like that.